Yay, we're here. Yay. First time ever doing a stream and wanted to talk about intermittent fasting, sugar, and menopause, and if there's a link between the three of them. So let's have a look at whether I can get on the call with Karen Finn, who is an expert in intermittent fasting and menopause. So Karen, are you there? And if so, can you hop on? I'm not quite sure how you can actually hop on, but maybe leave me a comment or something and we'll see if we can get you up on here. This is the first time I've ever done a live stream, so I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but we're gonna see if we can make this work and see if we can have a quick chat about sugar, intermittent fasting, and menopause. Because of course, you may not think I look like I'm old enough, but I am in perimenopause. And as far as I can tell, don't have hardly any symptoms. Is it to do with being sugar-free? Who knows? Who knows? So we're going to have a quick look. See, I want to see if my friend Karen Finn, menopause and intermittent fasting coach, is around. But Karen, you're saying it says I need to create a channel to chat. Okay, so it may not be possible right now, but Karen, we're talking to each other live. Can you leave a comment here on my YouTube channel or my Facebook page, Life After Sugar, and we'll see whether you can make a comment and whether I can see your comment. And if there's anyone watching right now, which I can see there is, can you help me out here? My very first time live streaming. Can you say hi in the comments? And I want to see if I can see them. Either give your name to StreamYard, which is like a system that helps me to have people hop on stage with me, like Karen, or just say hi so I can see what happens, because it's the first time I've ever gone live. And so today, so Fiona, you're there. Woohoo! All right, thanks, Fiona. I do appreciate it. Honestly, all this tech stuff, they should tell us that going sugar-free makes us good at tech, but it doesn't. And Dorothy, you're there. Woohoo! And Karen, you are there. Yay! All right, cool. And you guys are all joining on from Facebook, but you can't communicate, Karen, you're telling me, via YouTube. So that's good to know. That's good to know. And I'm not quite sure, Karen, how I can get you up here from my Facebook page. I don't know. How am I supposed to do that? All right. Well, Karen, this is, we'll have another, another experiment. But Karen, do you think that we can have a quick chat on the chat, you and I, so that at least, you have to be invited. Oh God. How am I supposed to invite you? I tell you, yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. I don't know how to invite you. Let's have a look now. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Well, okay. I'm not quite sure how to do that, but Karen, if you are there on my Facebook, maybe we can have a quick chat with your comments in the chat, and I'll put them up on the screen if I can work out how to do it. And eventually we'll do another test to have both of us on screen. So I've got people watching me screw up my live stream because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. But I did want to have a quick chat with Karen, because here's the thing. I'm at perimenopausal age, right? I'm very, very soon, I'm going to be 52. And as far as I can tell, I hardly have any menopause or perimenopause symptoms. And I can't compare with whether I would have them worse if I was eating sugar and flour and sweeteners, because I haven't eaten sugar, flour, and sweeteners for 7 years. And that was way before I was menopausal. So I wanted to check. But what I have noticed, and Karen, you maybe you can help me out here. What I've noticed for myself, at least, and we're all different, is that my hot flashes, I have had hot flashes. My hot flashes are way worse when I'm stressed and anxious, and whether or not, and that I don't know whether that has any kind of link to hormones. And I know when you're stressed, you have the stress hormones going on, and I'm wondering whether the stress hormones have any kind of influence on estrogen, for example, for menopause and hot flashes. But at the beginning of this year in January, I had like the worst hot flashes during the night, and sometimes during the day. And I wasn't eating any sugar or flour or anything, no more or no less than I have in the last 7 years. And yet, when I kind of calmed down, those stressful, there wasn't that many stressful things going on. It was all in my head, really. When I started doing breathing exercises and exercises to calm myself down and look at things in perspective, the hot flashes went way down, and I haven't had any for quite a few weeks. So I'm just wondering whether there is any kind of connection between the sugar consumption, the hot flashes, hormones, and of course, you and I, Karen, we practice intermittent fasting, and you're a coach for intermittent fasting and men and women in menopause age. And I was wondering whether there is any kind of link between all of these things. Personally, I feel that my anxiety level goes down, or when I'm fasting, or I feel that I'm better able to deal with my anxiety, and I get ups and downs all the time. I feel that I'm better able to deal with my anxiety during the times that I'm doing intermittent fasting, which is every day. It's just that my window changes every day. And what I feel for myself, and you people here on the chat, you can tell me if it's like this for you. What I feel is that life goes on and we have our ups and downs, but not reaching out for sugary and starchy processed foods and snacks. Not having that as an automatic habit helps to actually deal with whatever anxiety, perceived or otherwise, we have. And so it's not trying to get rid of it as fast as possible and pretend it's not there. I am more able to actually face the stress or the anxiety, whatever I'm feeling, because I'm not trying to smother it in chocolate. So, Karen, what you're saying is caffeine and alcohol too. Right. And so, and you're saying that definitely stress, sugar, intermittent fasting all influence menopause symptoms, even if we're all different, I can believe that. I'm just wondering, how do spikes and crashes in your blood sugar and in your insulin production, do you know whether they have any influence? I don't want to put you on the spot here, but do you know they have any influence on, how we live our menopause symptoms and how we feel? So I'm just wondering about that. And as you say, caffeine and alcohol as well. I drink 1 coffee a day. That's just me. And when I'm in my fasting window, it's black coffee. And when I'm not, then I put heavy cream in it. It doesn't seem to bother me because it's only 1 a day, but some people are extra sensitive to caffeine. And for alcohol, you know what I say, Karen? I say that I don't mind alcohol, but alcohol doesn't like me. And yesterday, my husband made dinner, gave me this much wine, and I was out for the count. Afterwards, my head was spinning within 15 minutes. I can't deal with it. I cannot deal with it. And Karen, you're saying, I believe they do, but I don't know the scientific explanation. And quite frankly, I mean, I can go and, we can all go and look up the scientific explanation, and thanks for being so honest. And sometimes I tend to think that we kind of look to the science, and definitely the science is there, and definitely human biology will react whether or not the science is there, but it's nice to have it backed up by science. But the fact that we're all so different, I'm just wondering whether for some people there is that really quick connection between caffeine, sugar, or hot flashes, whatever, and for other people they're like cruising through it. And Tiffany, you're saying, my body hates alcohol. I flush immediately and have immediate chest pain. I get that. Yeah. I don't think my body likes alcohol either, which means that I'm not always looking for that kind of a high. It's like take it or leave it. In fact, more often leave it, right, Tiffany, for alcohol, because if you're not going to feel good consuming alcohol, what's the point? It's not fun, and the social pressure to consume alcohol and sugar, may I add, there's no point in bending to that social pressure because you're not feeling good. It's just not fun because your body reacts like that. And I found, Tiffany, that the longer I've been sugar-free, the more sensitive I am to alcohol. So yeah, it's not really how I get my fun anymore. Yeah. And Karen, you're like, for you as well, for alcohol, you enjoy it and the idea of it, but it makes you feel crappy. Yeah. It's like, well, we got to find other ways of having fun. And basically, for me now, having fun is like being with other people at last after COVID, being able to be with other people, being able to enjoy, the spring, although we have 10 feet of snow still here in Canada. But anyway, spring is on its way because it was like almost 0 degrees yesterday. And so it's like I'm finding the smaller, more subtle ways of having fun in my life and feeling grateful for the small things in life rather than turning to the same things as I used to do: alcohol, sugar, snacks, And so I haven't lost, I don't know for you guys watching, but I haven't lost any kind of fun in my life. I've just moved it over to other things. And so I don't feel dependent on particular things like alcohol and sugar anymore for fun, which kind of feels like I got my power back. It feels empowering so that I'm not dependent on these things. I can have fun however and whenever I want, And Karen, you're saying, I'm glad I've worked out how to put your your messages, your comments up on the screen. Ooh. Karen, you're saying, I can certainly look into this physiological process that's going on. All of the hormones are interlinked, and estrogen, thyroid, cortisol, melatonin. Oh yeah, they're interlinked, all right. And we can both look into it. In fact, anybody can look into it. You don't have to be a medical doctor or anything. It's all out there. And I think for some of us, like regular people who are not health professionals, it's sometimes we feel like we need that scientific proof of all the controlled studies to believe that this is true, something is true for us. And at the same time, the N=1 experiment of what we are living is very often enough to just get us on that path to questioning, well, why? Why do I feel crappy, me, when I drink a little bit of alcohol and somebody else doesn't? And does it matter if somebody else doesn't feel crappy when they drink alcohol or when they eat sugar? Good for them, more power to them. But for me, I'm interested in, why do I feel like I feel? And why do I feel differently now than I used to? And okay, what's the science behind it? But it starts with you. At least it did for me. Yeah. Fiona, you're asking, I'd love to know more about the effects of intermittent fasting. Do you have any suggested links, please? Have never fasted. Thank you. Yes. Here's the thing. I'm sure Karen can answer, and I just want to give my answer and jump in there before Karen does. But Karen, okay. Karen, I'm going to put your comment up on the screen in just a minute, but I just want to say that my experience personally was that when I cut sugar and flour and foods that contain them is when intermittent fasting came along completely naturally. I didn't even know such a thing existed, and I was doing it because I was just less hungry, less often. So I'm just saying, you can either start with intermittent fasting as a thing, because it definitely has a lot of health benefits, or you can do what I did, was just cut sugar and flour and foods that contain them, and discover for yourself how amazingly the body reacts, and eventually you don't feel hungry as much or as often anymore. But I'm going to show Karen's comment. She says it's a fine balance, and intermittent fasting and good nutrition and gut health, which I'm totally into, plus sleep and exercise, have a major impact on the menopause symptoms. And yes, and I would add on your levels of so-called hunger, because if you're eating 5-6 times a day, I don't think you are hungry. And the irony is that when you're doing intermittent fasting, like Karen and I do, and you're eating once or twice a day, you don't feel hungry. How can you be eating 5-6 times a day and feeling hungry all the time? And on the other hand, eating once or twice a day and not feeling hungry at all? And that was one of the main questions I used to ask myself when I first cut sugar and flour. I was like, but why am I not feeling hungry? How can that be? So, Fiona, I would suggest reading any book by Jason Fung, Dr. Jason Fung, who's a Canadian doctor, nephrologist, actually. And he has several books, the Obesity Code, the Diabetes Code, the Guide to Fasting. I'm not sure if I got that title correct. And there's another book by Bert Herring called Appetite Correction that is also really, really interesting. And there's all the books by Gin Stevens, Fast, Feast, Repeat, Delay, Don't Deny. And so those I really recommend as well. You're welcome. You're welcome, Fiona. Yeah, it's like we can read up about it, and it's really good to read up about intermittent fasting, because at first we think that can't be good for you not to eat. I mean, that can't be healthy to skip meals. And I get told that all the time. And here's my thing. It's not a secret, because I'm telling you now. It's not, I don't skip meals. I just stepped out of that paradigm of 3 meals a day plus 2 snacks a day. So if you're still in that box, in that paradigm of you've got to eat 3 meals a day, and if you don't, you're skipping meals, fine, then you're skipping meals. But if you step out of that paradigm or belief, like Karen and I did, for example, and many, many others who do intermittent fasting, you're like, well, my new paradigm is I eat when I'm hungry, and lo and behold, I don't get hungry that often. But when I do eat, it's not a mountain of food, but it's calorically and nutritionally dense foods. And I would say to you that I eat less often now, Fiona, but I eat way more nutritious foods and with more nutritious calories in them, even though I don't track calories. And it fills me up, gives me energy, and I don't put on a pound. And I promise you that I'm not a unicorn. I'm not magic. Karen's telling you, Fiona, that she's found that IF really cut sugar cravings and cravings for junk food overall. Totally. Yeah. Intermittent fasting IF helps regulate your blood sugar, reduces inflammation, helps with sleep, and so many more benefits. Definitely. And again, you can either start off with intermittent fasting, and just like, usually when you're sleeping, you're fasting. Unless you get up in the middle of the night and raid the fridge, you've got a good 8-hour fasting time. And so you can just delay your breakfast a little bit to make it into, let's say, 10 hours when you're not eating, counting the time that you're sleeping. And for me, as I said, what happened was I went sort of the opposite to most people, because I like doing that, which is cutting down the sugar, the refined sugar and flour products. So I don't grace them with the word food. And found that just doing that already brought down my hunger levels, so that fasting just came naturally. It was like, 12 hours, 16 hours. Is it time to eat already? Take it or leave it. It's crazy. Yeah. And that was when I was 45, and now I'm almost 52, in perimenopause, I can tell, but not getting that many symptoms apart from those hot flashes when I get stressed. And what to do about that is to bring down the cortisol and I do like breathing exercises to try and calm down. I count to 5 in, count to 5 holding my breath, count to 5, and sometimes 7 or 8 breathing out. And I do that for as long as it takes, like a dozen times. And it just calms down the whole parasympathetic system, calms down my heartbeat, and calms me down in general. And my hot flashes also calm down. Is that scientific? Did they do studies on me? No. Did they do studies on other people? Probably. The fact that there are or there aren't studies, does that make a difference in how my body responds? And I'm not dissing science. I'm just saying whether or not there are scientific studies, how your body responds is something to look into. Yeah, I think. And Karen, you're saying definitely managing menopause symptoms requires self-care from many angles. There's no magic bullet. Absolutely. Yeah, self-care for us women, especially mothers, it's like we feel that we're being selfish when we look after ourselves. And so we don't look after ourselves 9 times out of 10. But I think that's the cool thing about being in your 50s. You're like over the giving all the time. And you're like, it's time to look after myself, because that is how I can look after others, by feeling good in myself. That's what the 50s are doing to me, at least. And Fiona, you're saying if you're having 1 or 2 meals a day, do you vary which ones you don't have, or just go on how you're feeling? If you're asking me personally, Fiona, I always go by how I'm feeling. But I would say that on the weekends, because we have breakfast together and my husband cooks a big breakfast on weekends, I have the breakfast of the weekends. And during the week, most times I don't have what's called breakfast. In other words, the first meal when you get up in the morning. Like this morning, I just had a black coffee and sat with my family while they had their breakfast. Quite frankly, they don't care what I do or don't eat, whether I do or don't eat. They're just happy to have my company. So yeah, that's my cheeky way of answering your question. Yeah. And Fiona, you're asking the symptoms of, I'm not sure what, do you mean menopause or do you mean something else? I wasn't quite sure. Can you let me know, Fiona, what symptoms of what you're asking, and I'll answer, or Karen will answer. Karen, you're saying, Fiona, there you go. You see, Karen will answer better than me. 30 plus common symptoms, some are physical and some are mental, of menopause. I'm guessing. And Karen, do you get menopause symptoms, Karen? Or have you got them in the past, and do you still? And what are the, give us a couple of examples, if you can, of some of the symptoms that some of the ladies that you work with have, apart from hot flashes, which is sort of the most well-known. And, you can post a link of them all. Smashing. Okay, and all right, fine. And perimenopause, yeah. Fiona, it depends on different people. And it's funny because in my experience, the symptoms that a lot of women have in perimenopause, apart from obviously your periods, spacing out and stopping eventually, those symptoms that Karen's going to give us a link to, I wonder if the studies that have been done on those symptoms take into account what people are eating. And I wonder, I don't know. Karen, you let me know. If you don't know, we'll look it up, whether there have been studies done in perimenopausal women who do not eat sugar and flour, because I think that both of them go together, and whether a stable blood sugar level and a low insulin production has been studied in relation to perimenopausal symptoms. So that's what I'm wondering. Yeah. What I'll do, I'm so happy you guys showed up for our very first live, and at some point I'm going to work out how to get Karen on the screen with me, unless you're happy like this, Karen, on the chat, which I mean, it's up to you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Karen put the link in the comments with the live. And I'm going to end the broadcast for now. And if anyone's got other questions or other things that they want to chat to us about, then you can add them in the comments, and Karen and I can hop on the comments and answer you like that. All right. So this was like the first tryout of a live stream on Facebook, and I think on my YouTube channel at the same time, Life After Sugar. And so what we're going to do, is end the broadcast, and let me know if you have any more comments. And thank you for being here. Thank you, Karen, for being here too. See you again soon.